Welcome to Microsoft and WordStream's co-hosted webinar, How to Sell Microsoft Advertising on Bing and Its Impact on Your Agency. Today we're going to be discussing how Microsoft advertising on Bing is going to help you scale and retain clients a little bit more efficiently and effectively. I am Zachary Go. I'm the GM of the global agency business here at WordStream. I've been with WordStream for 7 years, audited thousands of accounts, looked at thousands of Bing accounts, Google accounts, and really spent the last 2 years digging into agencies' businesses and trying to identify tools and services to help agencies scale, more importantly, scale profitably. We see that service businesses are incredibly difficult to scale. Profitability tends to diminish as you add clients. So we've always been looking at how to create ways to add services, add clients, and generate improved profitability. And one of the great ways to do that is by adding Bing accounts to your clients' advertising efforts online. So I've got a co-host here with me today. Really excited to introduce Mauricio, who is our partner manager at WordStream and an amazing resource for me, and I think will be an amazing resource for you also. Thank you, Mauricio, for joining us today.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, and as you mentioned, I'm a partner of WordStream. I work for Microsoft Advertising. My name is Mauricio Arantes, and I'm based here in New York City. Lovely Times Square. We get a great view of the Port Authority bus terminal. So you can imagine that it's a very exciting capital of the world for advertising that we're in. That said, I'm no stranger to digital. A little bit about me. I've been involved in the digital space for about a little over 11 years, so I must update this. And I've really come from the startup world and kind of bounced around in a couple of ways. And really in the last 5-6 years, I've honed my specialty to be mostly around advertising and helping small businesses and medium-sized businesses scale and really be present and take advantage of the digital landscape. And so a little bit about me outside of technology, I've spent a lot of time dedicating myself to the startup community. I do a little bit of improv just to make sure that I stay on my toes and can be relevant and entertaining. And last but not least, I'm a volunteer here in New York City, and I dedicate my time to working with organizations that try to bring digital advertising to folks who may be making a pivot in their career, and also just help youth sort of in high school and in college to sort of discover a path in digital advertising.
Awesome. So everyone's got to hold you to a really high standard to be entertaining on this webinar today.
We'll fix them in post if the jokes don't land.
Well, appreciate you joining us. Certainly means a lot to me. Obviously I see you as a huge resource for myself, and I really think you're going to impact the agencies that are, taking in this content today. So why did we invite Mauricio? Well, one, we want to arm all the agencies that are joining us with key metrics to really allow you to sell Bing confidently to your clients, because it is a great channel. It's a great way to, one, expand your reach, but really make your services very valuable and get your clients great results. And not just going to put everything on Mauricio and let him sell you on why Bing's great. You're actually going to hear a little bit from two agencies that I spoke with and interviewed. You'll get some direct quotes from them that have been really successful pitching Bing to their clients, and not only helped them scale their business, but really scaled their clients' business and found great results for their clients. And then lastly, we'll review the impact. So I did some digging and tried to identify, hey, what's the impact of adding a Bing account for an agency, both from a spend perspective, which is, directly correlated to revenue for agencies in most cases if you are charging a percentage of spend, but also the lifetime value, right? So how do your clients see your service and the value of it if you're managing multiple networks for them? So definitely stick around and see the impact that Bing can have on your business. So Mauricio, I'll open it up with a question for you. As an agency, why should they get their clients to invest in Microsoft advertising?
Wow, this is the easiest toss-up question, how you lead in, right? That's a great question. For all intents and purposes, Microsoft recognizes that it's a long road in terms of just trying to make an impact into this space. And, my role here is to really make sure that you can deliver the best results for your end client. And so I'll be fully transparent. We don't get involved in the Coca-Cola versus Pepsi battle. We're not here to say, don't do Google, because again, you want to deliver the maximum reach. And so you want to make sure that you're present where people are searching. And so really what we do here as a value add is we actually deliver a lot of good market presence for the end advertiser. So in terms of having a full marketing mix and being in the digital landscape, you need to have something where people are searching and you need to be present there. And so Microsoft is a great complement to anybody who's trying to promote their business, grow their business drive more leads, drive more awareness. Because at the end of the day, the digital marketing space is expanding. Not everyone searches on one device like it used to be maybe 30, 20 years ago, where you had one desktop at home and that's really your primary point of access to the internet. It's diversified, and so we'll see in the next couple of slides how we're integrating into those places and how we've been able to grow and really make sure that we become a rock part of that foundation for digital marketing.
Yeah, and I think, hey, I started in the industry in 2012. Obviously, Google pretty well established, Facebook not really established in the advertising space, and Bing probably in the single digits of click share or search share internationally. So, obviously want to transition, like you mentioned, like the growth has been awesome for you all over the years. And I think you've seen something that I see or hear often is we sell a ton to US speaking countries throughout the world, Canada being one of our largest markets right after the United States. And we hear that there's not a lot of search volume there. So these stats kind of show that there's been tremendous growth for you all, not only in the United States, but internationally as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think for us, to really make an active engagement like this, to go promote the updated slides, the updated narrative, it shows that, Microsoft was, one, really committed to grow this part of their business. And two, we've come a long way. I mean, you mentioned this 8 years ago, we were probably in single digits in some of these places. And even in the United States, we were still sort of clawing, maybe trying to make some inroads here and there. But, as we see here, the snapshot of 2015 to now, we've made some huge strides. 2015 was really big for us in that Microsoft decided to take that business back in-house. So that huge investment made sure that, again, we were going to make the right decisions this time. We were going to own the sales cycle. We were going to partner with sites that made sense. Again, Yahoo, AOL, Wall Street Journal, CBS Interactive, and then equally integrate ourselves with the hardware industry, right? How do we become sort of like that stitching component for the everyday use, right? Partnering up with hardware like HP, Dell, making sure that Windows is still the primary operating system, and then creating unique points of entry for the Bing search engine there for folks to get what they need faster, right? We've really tried to inform a lot of that, and we've made some huge strides. Not many companies can say they've grown 5 percentage points in 4 years in a space that's dominated by what has become a verb. When you ask somebody to do a web search, they'll look at you strange. They'll probably just ask you, do you mean Google something? And in that world, now search is sort of something that people expect. We become demanding, and what we've done is create more entry points for folks to get what they need and focus less on the brand. And through that, we've been able to win in some really key markets like you see here. So this is something we like to hang our hat on. You look at places like Germany, we went from 7% to 23%. That is 1 in 5 searches. Like, that's where we dropped the mic, and that's huge. Canada, it's a growing market as well, and so 7 percentage points, that's huge. The United States, we are 1 in 3 PC searches, bottom line. So if you're not there, you are missing out on 1/3 of the pie.
And I think that's huge. And if you're an agency on the line or an international agency on the line, screenshot this. Like, this is the data you want to hang your hat on when you're pitching a customer. And to Mauricio's point, you're missing 1 out of 5 searches or 1 out of 4 searches if you're not advertising there. And if I told anyone that they could increase the search or impression share that they're garnering 20% or 15%, they would say, let's do it. If everything else stays the same, you're gonna increase business. So that's an amazing stat. And I think looking at how you all have found creative ways to reach people, and you touched on this briefly, but obviously Windows 10 is one that we're all used to using. I'm a PC user. We're recording this on a PC today. Tell me a little bit about how Bing has found really creative ways to grow their market share and grow their search share.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, the Windows has sort of become a household name for a lot of families. I know I was a Windows family. We're a PC family. And, when you look at, just traditional workplaces and schools, 3 out of 4 of those machines are likely going to be PCs. And so, we took a step back and we looked at sort of, okay, how do we continue to leverage the strong brand here? And again, make sure that we create inroads for all of our products. And so smarter people than I in a place called Seattle went to task and did a lot of R&D and found that, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What worked well in Windows 95 can be updated and modernized. And, they were able to sort of bring out Windows 10 and sort of like the aesthetic classics, updated them, and made this functionality seamless, right? They put a couple of entry points for the search bar that directly connect you to your web searches, one at the bottom, and two in traditional programs that we know and love, like Word or Excel or PowerPoint. And so when you start creating these new entry points, you start creating more usership, more searches. And so we started seeing some natural growth there. Another area where we started to partner with the industry, you guys may remember the Windows Phone, RIP, right? We found that the Apple and Android side of the house are actually really strong household names, and they're powerful, and they dominate a lot of that market share. And so we took a step back and we realized that we couldn't continue investing in something that probably wasn't going to grow as fast as those two brands. So we decided, why not partner with them? Again, not everybody searches or uses one single device across their day. So we recognized we needed to make a lot of our properties available for the iOS phone, for Android. And so, again, we've become the default search engine for Safari. We have apps that you can download on both iOS and Android that allow you to do Bing exclusive searches. You can actually use Word and Excel and Power BI on those devices as well too. So we wanted to make sure that we could partner with the folks who've already made really strong footholds in the market and play nice with them, and that's how we found ourselves to continue to grow incrementally, both in the mobile space and in the general adoption space.
Yeah, and this one thing I've always been super impressed with Bing is the strategy to get the searches. Obviously, 5 billion monthly searches is a staggering number when you look at that. But historically, even back in 2012, you all were coming up with innovative ways to take over some of the search share. And I think, looking at the stereotype of a kind of a Bing searcher, it's always been historically it's a little bit older, the demographic skews a little bit older, but you've done an amazing job of Xbox, obviously. I use Cortana often on my computer. I've used the search features within Excel usually when I'm trying to figure out how to do something I don't know how to do in Excel, and then obviously shifting to mobile devices. So how has the demographic of the searcher changed over the years for you all?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, again, having to adapt to technology and investing in the future, right, have been huge to sort of inform how we start integrating ourselves with these hardware partners, with the website partners, with the sort of strategic alliances that are sort of operating in the background. And so, again, going back to 8 years ago in 2012, the demographics leaned slightly older. At the time, it was probably folks who were using Windows Explorer, Internet Explorer, sorry, and we're probably going after, www.bing.com. And that was our only point of entry, and so we've come a long way in sort of building those new inroads with these other organizations, companies, et cetera. And we've seen these numbers shift. I mean, right now we're looking at the snapshot. It's the cheat sheet, I call it, but it's validated by the market, validated by ComScore. The numbers are shifting. Now, gender-wise, it's 50-50 split. In terms of the age group, it's actually half of our searchers are under 45, which is great. Now we're tapping into Gen X, millennials, and Gen Z as well. And so in that same respect, we're starting to see that folks are adopting the usage at a much higher clip, and it's working well for us. The difference with our network is that we can also help you target against some of these demographics. And so that's the value proposition why we bring some of this stuff to light, because for some products, it just may make more sense for you to go after someone who fits in this potential forensic profile, someone 35 to 45, or someone who's 25 to 55, because that's just your catch-all group. So we definitely want to make sure that, one, we can update these figures and show you guys that things are changing and evolving, and two, that we offer the opportunity for you to adjust accordingly to make sure that you can fine-tune your messaging to go after this audience.
Yeah, something I've always heard, and I think is a big endorsement of advertising on Bing, is the quality. So these folks have a high buying intent. They do tend to be, a little bit higher income or a little bit more established in their career, and I think that's like super impactful to a return on ad spend, and just making sure that you're advertising to folks that fit your target market, and kind of knowing where to be present, but also getting the right phone calls. I think when we look at, and you mentioned this, business to business, a lot of businesses are using PCs. Obviously, WordStream provides us with PCs. 90% of our employees are leveraging PCs, and that's pretty common in the industry. What industries do you find that are really working well when advertising on Microsoft?
I would say that if you're searching for it or you're thinking about it, that's where we're strong, right? Just like you would search for something on Google at home, and you'd probably likely search for something for that same thing at work on that PC that's operated by Windows that, is largely defaulted by the Bing search engine. So, like I said, going back to the story of not everyone searches on one single device, because we're integrated in all these different spaces, we want to make sure that we can bring to light that for the marketer, for the advertiser, they don't want to miss out on this potential click opportunity. Again, there's a high buying power, so that speaks volumes, right? They're ready to spend. Two, they're also jumping back and forth between networks, right? They're going between Google and Bing, sometimes validating to see if the offer is the same. Other times, because that's just a default at work and they don't want to bother to change it, or the IT people are a little strict and they won't let you change it. So shout out to those folks. But I will say, we have to adjust for these behaviors, right? And we need to be present. And so technology, business, retail, automotive, telecom, health, travel, real estate. If you're searching for what you're looking to do this summer, you want to get out of the country, you want to take a trip out to Europe, people are searching on here. You want to look for, well, it's open enrollment time. You want to look for a healthcare provider. You want to look for a doctor near you. That's super important. In some parts of the year, like we actually index a little higher. And so these are updated numbers, by the way. So we're constantly updating them. And so with automotive, that's one I just want to hone in a little bit on. That one's really important for us because, again, people are searching for a vehicle, and depending on where they are in their life, they are likely looking to make an adjustment. Maybe the convertible or, the sports car doesn't suit the need for someone who's about to start a family. They know that they need to have something that's safer, probably bigger, and can accommodate a little bit more space. But that's all they know, right? And so they're likely going to start their search on Monday. Then they're probably going to maybe continue that search, probably maybe at lunch on their cell phone, and then forget about it until the next day, or maybe when they go home, sit down, unwind, get their laptop out, maybe their tablet, and then start looking a little bit more, and then put it off maybe for a couple of days. And so that journey sort of starts bouncing around from place to place when, we look at devices and setting. So, at the end of the day, what we've been able to successfully show is that people need to be present where people are searching. And, these are all the verticals here that are highlighting that we have a lot of click share that shows activity, that shows intent, that shows demand, and that people need to be present when they're looking for what they're trying to buy.
Yeah, and we work with a ton of verticalized agencies. I see a few verticals here that stand out to me. Obviously, I want to continue to dig into the automotive industry with you, and we'll talk about health in the future. But huge opportunity, for the agencies, watching this today to take a screenshot here, understand what vertical you're speaking with, or is the prospect that you're speaking within, and how can you impact their business by allocating some of their budget to a network that's got a great click share. And to Mauricio's point, this isn't a one touch, I'm going to search something, see an ad and purchase it scenario. You need to take a full funnel approach. You need to think about how people are interacting and doing research over the course of their buying cycle. And obviously it shows here that people are going to Bing and looking for products across multiple industries or services across multiple industries. So digging into automotive, I asked you to share some data that you all have on that industry, because I think it's obviously a great vertical for advertising, a great vertical for agencies to be speaking with. The automotive dealers haven't quite caught up with some of the more advanced industries out there. So this is a stat that you guys sent that I thought was really interesting. Automotive ad spend is expected to grow more than 10% annually through 2020. So $15.8 billion being spent. Why do you all see automotive as such a big focus? And you gave us a little bit of a scenario earlier, but I noticed that it's something that you guys are having a lot of success in.
Yeah, I mean, for one, I'll start at a very high level. The digital landscape is expanding, right? There's a lot more options, right? There's shiny new things that are coming up. There's other technologies that are trying to also vie for that same dollar. But what we found to be consistent is that the search always begins at Bing or at Google. That's the search. Bottom line, that is where that buying process begins. And so Another area where it is creating a little bit more complexity is that brands are actually coming out with just more options, right? And so, with that, if certain cars need to move off the lot, you need to have budget to get in front of them. You need to make sure that, again, as the sort of offline advertising begins to sort of intensify and increase, you're going to create a lot more complexity when it comes to being available when people are searching. And so you need to be present. If not, your competition is going to be present. So at this point, what we're saying is the investment is supposed to increase because the competitiveness is increasing. And so people need to be more efficient about where they allocate their dollars. That said, this is a great slide that shows that about 70% of people searching for a car don't know much about what they're trying to purchase. And so if we look at, again, that previous example, someone's life is changing in terms of like their growing family. They need to just, one, make sure they're looking for a vehicle that's safe and one that has more space, likely a van, and that's about it. We're not talking brand, we're not talking about location. And so, it really starts at that top of the funnel, and you want to make sure you're present as you're driving them all the way down to the point in which they're actually going down to the dealership on that Saturday and scheduling a test drive.
Yeah, this stat was a little bit shocking to me, mostly because I love cars. I shop for cars, even when I know I'm never going to buy one. Constantly looking at them. I help my friends shop for cars, but certainly in your scenario, honestly, if someone asked me for advice on how to buy a minivan today, I would know very little about it. I expect at some point in the future, I will have to either buy a minivan, mostly from a convenience perspective, and they are pretty cool nowadays with all the technology in them. But it is something that, I think as advertisers, we need to be thinking about, and as consultants for our customers and prospects, this is a great opportunity to impact the different parts of the cycle and the buying cycle that folks are going through when they're looking to make an auto purchase. And I wanted to dig in, one layer deeper to really show just how compelling the data is on, things like cost per click on Bing for the automotive industry, which is, one of the most competitive industries on Google. Cost per click of 91 cents is just insane. Very seldom do you see that. I think what's really, really important to look at here is the quality of the traffic as well, with a 3.6% click-through rate or a 6.6% conversion rate, which we would all be really excited about if we could get our dealership clients. So, Mauricio, I think this is something that if I were you, hang my hat on and I'd trot this out everywhere.
Trust me, I'm the most interesting person at any cocktail party when somebody brings up what search engine is the best and what about automotive. But seriously, no, I mean, you'll notice that the demographic sort of starts adjusting a little bit here, right? What we showed you guys on the cheat sheet is sort of an aggregate. But, when we start drilling down into the verticals, we are seeing that the data does move around a little bit. And this is, designed to inform agencies, advertisers, especially when, again, the complexity of the space is increasing. And let's say it's too dense in your particular market. If you're in New York, maybe, or Miami, or Chicago, or Houston, those places might be a little dense and too competitive on the Google side. And if you need to sort of look at other options that are still going to drive, no pun intended, some qualified results there for a more cost-conscious or effective price, we're a huge option here. I mean, why not dominate the market in that space on Bing if your competition isn't there for a fraction of the cost? So, not under $1 cost per clicks. I mean, those might change depending on the density of the market, but that's still pretty competitive. I mean, I would say that's a no-brainer there when someone is actually thinking about how to spread out maybe a smaller budget, or looking at an option that'll help them kind of continue filling another part of that funnel. With respect to the age group, look at that. I mean, 35 to about 64. That's a huge percentage point there that we can actually increase modifiers there to get in front of those folks, right? And so we can increase some intensity to make sure that you guys are more competitive when someone in that bracket is searching. And on the left side, the device type. In the United States, we have 36% of the PC market share. Again, 1 in 3 searches that is done on a PC, is done on Bing. But we're also seeing that it's complemented with the mobile side, and we recognize that. And so we've made a lot of strategic partnerships to make sure that we can provide that value and be present there with people searching on mobile. Again, sometimes it starts there and moves to PC or vice versa, but you got to be present.
Yeah, I love this slide. If I was an agency or a car dealership and you showed me this, I'd say absolutely, let's throw some dollars behind it. And again, I don't want you all to just take this information from Mauricio. So what I wanted to do is actually go and speak with agencies that I know have had a ton of success, not only selling Bing, but managing Bing and getting their clients great results on Bing. So the first one I want to take you through is actually a profile of Magnet Digital. So Josh Beach is who I spoke with. Awesome conversation. He's an account manager. He's been with them for 7 years. Automotive focused agency. They only work with car dealerships. 5 full-time employees, so small agency, right? And if you think about it, they're managing a good amount of accounts. Josh was kind of juggling a few jobs all the way from selling the clients to managing and executing and maintaining the relationship. And over 50% of their PPC accounts are advertising on Bing. Some of them exclusively on Bing, most of them on both Google and Bing, and to Mauricio's point, taking that full funnel approach across both networks. And really compelling stuff here. And I swear Mauricio didn't bribe these folks in any way. He didn't even know I went and did this. I went and did this on my own, mostly because I wanted to provide you all with some third-party information. But I asked a few really specific questions about their process. So the first one was, when do you introduce Bing? Trying to understand exactly the process by which they felt comfortable pitching Bing to their prospects. And I think what was really compelling is Josh gave us a lot of insight into their sales process. So strategy and consulting throughout the sales process has been super important to them. Transparency on where they can be effective. I can't tell you how many times we used to hear this from some bad apples in the industry, but I can get you to the #1 spot on Google or Bing or online. You know, advertisers hate hearing that. And I think Josh has taken a really different approach where he's trying to be very consultative. And, you know, he's found that dealerships are pretty behind. They're constantly onboarding new clients to Bing because they just haven't tested it out yet. And he sees it as a great opportunity to differentiate his services. Next I asked is, how do you pitch Bing? So, you know, we really want to understand not only when they introduce it, but how they introduce it. And Josh's approach has always been that, hey, automotive is one of the most saturated markets on Google. And we just saw that there's a great target audience on Bing. The cost per clicks are low. They're incredibly engaged. So, you know, the #1 thing that he mentioned is, hey, don't show up and throw up. And I love that line. I used it with my sales team in the past. And you really want to understand the client's needs. And he actually mentioned, hey, they analyze their market and impression share. So they go kind of campaign by campaign on Google and identify how much impression share they have. And if they've maximized it with their budget, hey, let's allocate budget and expand and grow by advertising on Bing. And direct quote from Josh, dealerships have been hearing for years that agencies can get them great results on Google. Going back to my previous point, right? We got to stop saying we're going to get you the #1 result on Google. Bing has been an amazing channel for us to prove ourselves, and then we expand from there. So 50% of their clients are advertising on Bing. Again, some of them are advertising only on Bing because Josh is taking the approach of, let's find where we can succeed quickly and get them great results, and then expand into other networks, expand into other services. And I thought this was a really compelling strategy. I would recommend most agencies to take this of identify where your prospects are winning today or your clients are winning today, and get them to expand to Bing because you're going to find amazing results for them. And then lastly, what's the impact on your client's business? Mauricio loves this one. It's some of the data we just showed you. Very few dealers are effectively using Bing, and by implementing Bing, Magnet Digital can drive and has driven lower CPCs for their clients and getting traffic from a more engaged audience. So we looked a lot at the target audience. We looked a lot at the cost per click. But Josh said this himself, it's a slightly older demographic, it's been slightly more qualified, and that's been supported by time on site and really getting that engaged audience at a lower cost. And the last thing I asked him was, what's been the impact on your business? So not only do we want to get our clients great results, lower cost per clicks, lower cost per conversions, really qualified leads, but hey, it's going to impact your business as an agency if you're getting them great results. And Josh said it directly, it's impacted revenue. He sees now it's just a taste of what to come. There's great opportunities to continue to scale and grow this, but where he felt like it was really, you know, helping them excel is in their closing percentage. So by taking that consultative approach, 80% of their pitches are closing, and obviously they're pitching Bing on 50% of their pitches, and it's just an amazing hit rate where I think we'd all be really excited about an 80% close rate. And Bing has helped, since other agencies are not doing it effectively. It's helped them gain market share on the competition. And I think as we see from the previous slides, it's helped them generate great results for their clients. So Mauricio, I'm sure you love all this because I think it fits some of the profile of what you've been saying and supports it. But is this something you hear from agencies that really go, all in on pitching Bing to their clients, or what are some of the common things you do hear from agencies that have really adopted Bing as a network that they should be getting their clients to adopt?
I'm starting to hear a lot more. Again, we've made a huge concerted effort to go out to the market and evangelize a lot of the data that, we've highlighted today. We tried a couple different approaches, and at the end of the day is how do we speak to what's important to the agency? And if it's extending the lifetime value of that customer, bang, we got them. Because the difference between agency A and agency B is either consultative approach and options. And so I think this is really important for us to continue to drive home, in that, you really have to move away from those sort of sound bites of getting the number one where everyone is, what's the difference, right? Like, how do we add the lemon twist? And, if we can continue evangelizing a lot of more of these case studies, I think it's going to get everyone to be equally as successful and, again, just drive the right results for that end advertiser. And if they say, give me more, then you've already won. And so let's, ultimately try to get everybody there.
Yeah, so let's dive into another industry because I thought the automotive industry was a really fun one, mostly because I'm very interested in it. But, another industry that you all have a great click share of is healthcare. And I think the demographic, again, aligns very well with a qualified audience, 93-cent cost per click, again, under $1, an amazing click-through rate, 4.2%. Tell me a little bit about the differences here. Obviously, a big shift in some of these stats compared to not only your normal target audience, but even what we saw with automotive.
Yeah, I mean, this one sort of inverts against the automotive space, right? But I guess, I'm going to add a small asterisk on, a couple of these, right? In terms of the age group, I remember when I was 25, and I think that was probably the last thing I was searching for, when I was, getting my first job, or generally probably just exiting college, So, in that sense, I think, we just have to get in front of that audience to make them care, right? But where we are seeing the active engaged audience, 35 to 65, and that's, again, really critical there. We're talking, again, people who are gainfully employed, people who are employed, people who are looking for their options, open enrollment, doctors near me, dentists, all these things there that, again, just generally, speak to the healthcare space. We're finding a lot of engagement there. In terms of the gender space, that sort of inverts. And, it's interesting to see how the other verticals start shaking out. But, the industry has already validated this data for us. And we found that, again, if this helps you, again, get in front of the right audience, if the product speaks to a particular type of forensic profile, we want to make sure that we can help align that story with you. In terms of the device type, again, the split almost becomes 50-50 with mobile and PC. And so, again, we want to remind folks that we do have the option and create the ability for you to, hone in on those specific audiences who are probably searching primarily on mobile, right? Or just PC. But the idea here is that these things are designed to inform strategy. And so we want to provide you with as much of that to go to market and make sure that whatever the tipping point is for the end advertiser, you got the data point for it.
Yeah, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story here, but I think the mobile percentage is really important to look at here. We actually recently worked with an agency. Interesting, they're verticalized not only in the healthcare space, but even more specific, they only work with urgent care facilities. And what was interesting about their strategy is every one of their clients was on Google and Bing. They had a really high percentage of traffic from mobile. Obviously, I think people are typically either sick or need something quickly. They search from their phone, they get up, they get in their car, and they drive to the urgent care. So, this is an amazing place to be advertising if you are, looking for something that, hey, we're going after a target audience. It fits the profile. Let's make sure that we are advertising there. And again, I went and spoke with an agency that's had a lot of success advertising on Google and Bing. Tricky Janice Akshata was the paid search strategist there. She's got 2 years of paid search experience. They're a healthcare and education focused agency. only 13 full-time employees. So again, a little bit of a smaller shop, services heavy on SEM, social, design, and branding. And this stat was awesome. Mauricio, you love this. If we can get every agency doing this, I'd be really excited from a WordStream perspective because I think it really impacts their business. But over 80% of their PPC accounts are advertising on Bing. So that's awesome to see. And Akshata's got a great approach. And I think, again, echoes a lot of what you said, Mauricio, is when she introduces Bing, it's really learning the client's needs early on. So what are their requirements? If they're lead gen or they're looking to generate a quick business and high intent searches, obviously she's going to Google and Bing and they're introducing them first and getting campaigns deployed there quickly. If it's brand awareness, they're starting with more of a social and display strategy and then trying to upsell into Google and Bing. But again, they're doing the market assessment to identify the KPIs, look at impression share, and really starting with that first conversation to see where they can win quickly as an agency. That first month is huge with a client and how you onboard them and how quickly you can show them results. Now, how do you pitch Bing? She said it, and you're going to love this or not love this, Mauricio, but Google search has been widely accepted, right? Mauricio mentioned kind of the Coca-Cola and Pepsi scenario here. Akshata always tries to pair it with Bing. They want to get in front of everyone that's searching for us. And that's that full funnel approach. That's that multi-touch buying cycle. And Akshata said that she has to be present. She's got to make sure her clients are present when people are searching. And the impact on the client's business is just that. A lot of what we've heard, right? CPC is lower on Bing. The campaigns have been incredibly cost effective. She actually mentioned, and we did a good profile of healthcare, which they've had success with, but she mentioned education clients have had amazing results on Bing, really driving volume in calls, which I thought was very interesting. But when you look at some of the industry profiles we've looked at, hey, mobile was actually higher than PC. So that's a really cool stat to see, and obviously backed by Akshata here. And then the quality of the leads. And this is consistent across both verticals. Higher quality leads are coming through. And the key is to have a full funnel approach across all networks. So I thought that was really echoing the story you told of people, starting in the morning with a PC search, but ending the day with maybe a mobile search or even a tablet or a Surface, using a Microsoft Surface to search for something. So really important that we go through and look into not only the vertical we're pitching to, but the client's goals, the client's impression share, and then making sure that we are deploying campaigns across multiple networks. So now that we've gone through and not only looked at all these great stats and selling data for you to leverage on the line here today, we've started to discuss industry-specific stats, click share and impression share across specific industries. Got some case studies from it, some agencies that have had a lot of success, and I think the quotes really align with what Mauricio was letting us know early on in the presentation. Now we want to look at what's the impact on the agency's business. So I did some analysis and really tried to dig into what do our clients look like when they are advertising on Bing, and what's the success that they have advertising on Bing. So the first thing I looked at is all of the profiles. So for those of you not familiar with WordStream, we provide a software that helps folk manage on both Google and Bing and actually have a proposal generator that helps you sell on those two networks. And we've got about 1,400 agency customers managing about 20,000 accounts. So I went in and looked at all agency profiles that had both Google and Bing linked up. And I looked at how long those profiles were active compared to the profiles that only had one network linked up, meaning they were only advertising on Google or Facebook. And what was really interesting, Mauricio, and you'll love this, I don't even know if you're aware of this stat, agencies that were linking up multiple networks, Google and Bing or Facebook and Bing, to our platform, their profiles remained active with us for 40% longer. So extending customer life, right? Increasing value. And we talked about the profiles there with Josh and Akshata. They felt like they were increasing value by pitching the right networks for their agency to go manage. And I think the customers actually see it that way as well, right? This agency's deployed a multi-network strategy. They pitched something that other agencies weren't selling to me because they thought it was best for my business. They provided and sold with data that was given to them, hopefully today by us. But I thought this was really, really impactful stat. So then I wanted to go a layer deeper. So not only can we help you increase customer life 40% if you are going and pitching multi-network management to your prospects, but how much money were they allocating to Bing? So what we actually saw was a 28% lift in marketing budget if agencies we're taking budget and allocating some more to Bing. So we looked at the impression share. It ranges, from 35% all the way up over 40% or click share on some of those industries. When you're pitching a client, you should really look at what that opportunity is and either reference this webinar or reference WordStream's blog that's got some industry benchmarks for Bing. Look at what is available on Bing and go and ask them to increase their budget and allocate it there. So if you can increase their digital marketing spend 28% and go and allocate that budget to Bing and get them under $1 cost per click, they're going to generate great results and they're going to stick with you 40% longer. So what I really wanted to do was build a profile. Over the years, we've done a state of the agency where we actually send out a survey. A lot of you listening to this today will receive it. Please fill out the data. It not only helps us, but it helps you a ton, kind of looking at how agencies are running their business and where you can innovate in the future. And I just threw a number out here, but hey, average agency's customer life for a PPC account is 14 months. So I built a profile. I made this up out of thin air, but you've got a prospect or a client that you've brought on, their car dealership. Their Google Ads budget, which you decided to pitch them for $10,000 a month, is what you'd like to allocate. You're going to charge 15% of ad spend and be making $1,500 a month. Again, I input this data point of this client's going to stick with you for 14 months, which is why you see that drop off in month 15. Total revenue generated from that client, really easy. 1,500 times 14 is $21,000 in total revenue generated from that client. Now let's look at the revenue impact. If you not only pitch them this Google Ads budget, but you ask them to go and allocate that 28% to Bing, because there's a great impression share and click share there available to you. There's a very low cost per click, really qualified audience that's going to engage with your prospect's website. So you got to ask them to invest $2,800 in Bing. Your fee stays the same, right? 15% of ad spend. So they're only going to be paying you $420 additional dollars to manage this account. But you extend that customer life because your value increases, right? They're paying you one fee, you're managing multiple networks. You're getting them great results. What's interesting is now they extend their customer life 19 months and you're able to charge them slightly more. So as opposed to that cliff and that revenue drop happening in month 14, it extends to month 19. But every single month you've worked with them, you've made an additional, $420. That's a 79% increase in revenue generated by taking this cross-network approach, that full funnel approach, allowing your clients and prospects to be present across multiple networks and really providing them great results because the data supports that. I wouldn't show you all this if I didn't think it was going to impact your business. As much as I love Mauricio, I want to make sure that we're helping you all grow. And I thought this would be a really beneficial presentation for you all to get some key selling points and really understand how agencies and why agencies should go and present Bing as an advertising network for their prospects. And if you haven't yet, and you've got customers that have maximized their impression share on a specific budget, or they've given you budget that you haven't been able to spend, take that budget, go do some research on what's available to them on Bing, build a pitch deck for them, and get in front of an audience that they're not targeting today with Bing advertising. That wraps up our presentation today. Mauricio and I are going to hang on the line for the next few minutes to answer some questions for you all. We've got a bunch already in. Please keep them coming and we'll do our best to answer them. Thank you, Mauricio, and let's sit around to ask some questions here.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.